competitive pay, excellent benefits, and a positive work environment. From IT and marketing to sales and finance, we're looking for talented individuals just like you. Apply today at sandhills.jobs and take the first step towards an exciting future. That's sandhills.jobs. Don't wait, apply now.
Hey guys, it's your girl Jordan from Sartor Heyman Jewelers. Gentlemen, it's time to elevate your style with something from our men's jewelry and watch collection. Why not treat yourself to the ultimate in luxury? We've got an incredible selection of pre-owned Rolex watches, even those hard-to-find models you've been dreaming of. Whether you're stepping up your game day look or adding a touch of class to everyday wear, our top-tier collection is sure to impress. Stop by Sartor Heyman and discover the perfect piece to reflect your unique style. Until next time, happy shopping, guys.
NIPCO is hiring CDL drivers for ready-mixed concrete, Husker Concrete, and Beatrice Concrete. NIPCO offers great pay, medical and retirement benefits, paid time off, and they pay for CDL training. Apply today and start your new career with a $2,500 hiring bonus. From NIPCO's beginning in 1908, it's the employees that have formed the company's solid foundation. Start your career today. Visit nebcoinc.com. That's NEBCOINC.com. General Fire and Safety has been keeping Lincoln businesses and commercial structures safe for more than 50 years. From a simple fire extinguisher to full fire suppression systems, Lincoln has trusted General Fire and Safety to provide top-of-the-line products, installation, and maintenance. If you're starting a new business in a brand new building, call on General Fire and Safety to help you plan a fire safety system that fits the specific needs of your business, employees, and customers. Call General Fire and Safety today at 402-261-0116.
Midwest Bank is proud to be your local community bank right here in Lincoln. This is Travis with Midwest Bank, now with 2 branches conveniently serving Lincoln and 8 other locations across Nebraska. We're here to help you with any of your needs. From opening a checking account to buying a home or financing your business, our staff is here for you. Stop in and you might see Shin Daddy himself. Your community, your bank, Midwest Bank. Learn more at midwest.bank, member FDIC.
Ryan, with all this red and all these people around, I'm still not seeing the tailgate.
Todd Spidell, former body shop owner, terrible driver.
We're getting close. Now, did you know with 3 locations in Lincoln and hundreds of years of combined technician experience, we can get Husker fans back on the road even quicker and safer after their tailgate mishaps? Oh, Todd, turn left right here.
Left or right?
Left, right here.
Right?
Well, you wait for the tow truck. I'm getting a hot dog.
Well, I guess while I'm waiting. All right! Most recommended! Eustace Body Shop!
Woohoo! Dude, you should be on American Idol.
You really think so?
No.
Accidents happen, even to Husker fans. If it happens to you, call Eustace Body Shop, where our customers send their friends.
The most recommended Eustace Body Shop. That's who we are.
Coming at you live from the heart of Lincoln, America. This is the Don't Punt Hour with former Nebraska receiver.
Throwing over the middle, completes the pass. He's got speed to the end zone. Touchdown. 45 yards.
And return specialist.
This time he beats the kicker and one more.
DeMornay Pierson-El.
Not only does the sideline have confidence in Pierson-El, but Pierson-El has confidence in Pierson-El.
On 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
All right, welcome into the Don't Punt Tower. Harrison Arns on the 1s and 2s, as always, for Ticket Weeknights. Shout out Austin Orman and Tom Chattel. They just wrapped up with the Husker Football Hour. You can always go back on YouTube, rewatch that one, get Tom Chattel of the Omaha World Herald's thoughts, but do that later because we got plenty of great Ticket Weeknight shows coming up nonetheless. 402-464-5685. We do got NFL on the brick and mortar, but to be honest, I like our competition in this one. It is the Steelers and New York Giants, so you can definitely check that out, listen on the airwaves, or you can watch the streams, Facebook, YouTube, X, Allo, Channel 961. Good morning, Pierson-El. How's it going on a Monday night?
It could be better, but, another week to grind out.
Yeah, I think your weekend might have been just as bad as mine. We'll dive into the NFL side of things as well.
Hail Commanders.
All right. I was going to do my best not to just like start off the show going full scorched earth here. But everything I want to talk about has me somewhat to a boiling point where I get a little frustrated. Let's just start with Husker football. Yeah, give me your thoughts. Once again, number 4 team ranked on the road as well. Like that's not an easy environment to play. They go out there, and I'll give them this much credit. That's a team that bounced back. I know they lost the game.
Yep.
But they bounced back. I mean, that could have been an easy time to lay down after that Indiana game and just being like, well, this is going to be a tough team. We just got to be close and people will be okay or not get blown out by 20 plus points. But they fought, and it was a close game, and they had a legitimate chance of winning it. Give me your thoughts.
Missed opportunities and miscues on coaching assignments on the offensive side. I don't want to say a lack of discipline, but missed assignments on the offensive side, really cost us. Touchdowns were missed, the goal line stand and everything like that. Yet we find ourselves not playing another complete game, for the most part. I can't even say 3 quarters. I mean, first half, it kept you in the game, but I mean, you can say offense probably really started, late third, maybe going into the fourth.
Yeah.
Just imagine a whole complete game. And, I've seen what, they said about the screens and this and that and everything like that. Again, just a lack of variety, of the offense with using certain stuff is very, predictable with things and everything like that. Just setting up. I understand he said, a couple people missed a couple blocks and whatnot. Well, there's other ways than screen passes than, continue to throw screen passes to get the offense, going and whatnot. So I mean that was just very unfortunate. But I think, the defense, I mean, they carried their lunch pail. They only scored once the second half.
Yeah, they got 7 in the fourth quarter, Ohio State.
You know what I mean? So, I mean, you hold the number 4 team in the country to 21 points. That's a winnable game.
Yeah.
That is a winnable game. Like people's like, oh, well, we put, a good effort. Like, I don't want to hear that because it's we had them, again, just missed opportunity and a couple miscues that, ultimately, cost us the game. And that's the frustrating part because it's like, okay, you see, what we can potentially be. And I think, just the Indiana week, like, I just don't think we were prepared and ready that game.
Yeah, and the defense, like, I get it. You're not going to have your best day every day. Talking about the Indiana game. Like, sometimes, you're just going to have 80%. Like, for whatever reason, you slept on the wrong side of the bed, even though you went to bed early. You couldn't shut your brain off. The diet wasn't, just sitting well with you. For whatever reason, you only got 80%. You better give the 80 though.
Yeah.
That's where I draw the line. It's like, if you got is 80, then I want to see 80. And it felt like Indiana, whether they're at 80 or 100 or 50, you were seeing players give, a half butt effort to kind of clean it up here. Like, it just wasn't good enough. So when you go to this Ohio State game, it's a couple ways to look at it. I don't want to call it another moral victory because I'm so sick and tired of those. They don't do anything. It's just another loss. Nobody cares. Everybody forgets the next year. The only moral victories people remember was the best quote unquote 3-win team in college football history, because it was just statistically absurd how that whole season played out. But 9 times out of 10, nobody remembers it that way. They just look at a loss. You can call it a morale victory. Excuse me, not a moral, like a morale victory for the guys that, okay, this team isn't laying down and they did compete with another good team. So they got in their mindset, wash Indiana out. Like, we can't compete with the best teams out there, but you still could have won the game.
Yeah.
And we'll talk about the officiating for obvious reasons. It's been a popular topic for Nebraska fans. It's been a popular topic for USC because they're starting to see it in the games they're playing in the Big Ten. Every school's going to have a bad week with the refs. Just seems like some schools get a lot more than others. But even if, the officiating was a little cleaner, I still don't know if we win that game because our offense was stalling out, and I'll call out Banks because I'll also give him credit. in that first half in particular, he was really struggling blocking. You know, a lot of those screen passes, he's got to get a block that guy. They're just getting blown up. And he wasn't the only one. Nayor was struggling. But I did see like they did start figuring out. So I'll give Banks credit. Like he got a lot better blocking as the game went on. So I respect that part. But it's a game we could have won. We had some balls overthrown from Dylan Raiola. I don't think he played a bad game. If I had to give him a grade, maybe like a B minus, B, somewhere around there. Certainly not a C, I don't think. But yeah, talk to me about the play calling. We've talked about the screen passes. Rule's whole thing is, listen, we know, like, we talked about it being a weakness heading into this thing, but that's Ohio State's strength is that defensive front. And that's, why Oregon's game plan was to attack the screen pass heavy, even though that is kind of staple of their offense. What do you make of all the screen passes that was being called? Like, do you get the argument from the head coach, or do you still think it was way too much?
With certain screen passes, like, we haven't seen, the bluff screen passes and gold. Like, there's so many variations that it's enough things that you can do off of the screen. Don't just be, black and white. And that's where the frustration I feel like comes at for me, because you set up certain things to look alike, and then it's it'll be this, but then it'll be really that, or it'll go to step 2 or step 3. You can set up the screen pass. They playing man on the outside, set up the screen pass. We really didn't have a attacking a downfield attacking really. So I mean, to kind of get that, they're already right then and there. And if you are worried about the line blocking or their D line, I feel like our offensive line honestly did a fairly decent job.
Yeah, they were bringing the house like a lot of times, and I think that's where Dylan got better through the game too, and getting rid of it.
And that's a lot more so of you just understanding the situations of stuff. Okay, if you want to do screen passes or quick passes and everything like that, the one that was caught for a touchdown but that was down at the one, why can't you do more simple stuff like that instead of the same thing over and over again? Well, clearly all guys are missing their blocks and everything like that, but yet we're one block away or whatnot. Well, is that a mentality? Is that now I'm looking at, okay, well, why aren't the kids continuing to be out there and they're not doing their job? Because it's making you all look bad, but it's also you can design certain stuff up off of that it may look like that to get a trick play. You throw a trick play in there, that might be the difference in that type of game. So my thing is to a certain extent, like I get the science behind or why you're trying to do the screen pass, but you only were doing that. There was only that. They didn't worry about anything else. You didn't put anything off of it to get, the outside guys or the safety to think about certain things or whatnot. So you were kind of just like, this is what it is. And, we're going to hit it. But we weren't hitting it pretty much at all. So why is it, continue to call, or you're not doing different variations off of it? The bluff pass to where you got 2 guys blocking the bubble screen, both of them fake, and go out. The seams are open. They were pretty much playing man, stacking the box the entire game, or sometimes they went cover 0. So I just don't like how the offense is getting set up, like the rhythm of things. You're not setting up for down the line and, okay, if they call this again, we got this. So it's very, like what he said, he doesn't know what he wants to do. He's not confident in what he wants to call. And the offense kind of goes sporadic, and you can throw in the screen pass. It just doesn't make it look good. And it's like, for you to be having all week, for you to know certain things and what they're going to come, it'd be times people come off, the field. It looks like later in that second half, they kind of adjusted to it and like, hey, we're going to do this on the fly type stuff and everything like that. But yet, and that happens, where certain things come up and you want to change differently. That's perfectly fine. I'm not, but for you to just keep trying something, and we're one block this, we're one block that. It's always been the same thing. It's always one thing, and it could have been different. Well, how many one times is it going to take for us to kind of move off or give it a different variation or different personnel to kind of get the offensive going? I felt like they were just staying in one part or trying to use the same old thing and it wasn't quite working versus, using Fedoni down the field more, using Jalen Lloyd on other types of things than just verticals and overs or posts and everything like that. It's our offense is very, very predictable. And if the run isn't really consistent, it's hard for the offense to get going. You got guys on the outside that honestly, they got to step up and make plays. It's man to man. I understand, some of those calls, the PI calls were BS. I get that. But at the end of the day, y'all not getting off of press. Y'all getting pressed to the boundary and certain things and whatnot. Somebody has to make a play. Somebody has to step up. And y'all can't, just depend on the ref to throw a flag to bail you out.
Yeah, and that's kind of where I'm at. Like, some of our skill guys got to make somebody miss, too, when they do finally get the ball. Like, we have really struggled with any sort of explosive plays all year, and we finally feels like we bust one open. Sometimes it's like, man, we can't make anybody miss when we do get an opportunity to go ahead. And when it comes to the play calling, I'm with you. It just feels predictable. It does not feel like defenses are stressing very hard trying to figure out what our tendencies are. What is the most likely thing that we're going to try to set up here. And you really saw that in that Indiana game. It looked like every single defensive call they had was perfect, and it looked like they knew exactly what we were trying to do. And that's, I think, how they bottled us up for that entire game. And again, on top of it, that was a day where the players, for whatever reason,
didn't show up.
They just didn't show up. This game they did, but the play calling still kind of drives me insane. And I want to ask you this, because you're going to know the X's and O's a hell of a lot better than I do. When you have Ohio State just bringing, 5, sometimes even 6, just bringing the full house over and over and over again, does it have to be the screen pass on the outside? Like, there's no way we can get a tight end just wide open in the middle of the field if they're going to be bringing those linebackers downhill that consistently. And that part, I mean, we finally got a touchdown off of it, and Dylan Raiola grew better. He got rid of the ball faster, realizing, like, if they're bringing this pressure, there's going to be a guy unblocked. Like, I'm going to have to get rid of it because we just do not have enough to block all these people they're bringing into the house right now. Will that not open up things in the middle for guys like Fedoni?
I think that's where you kind of want to attack at things, and kind of what Ohio State kind of did. That wasn't really their tendency, and the only reason why it showed up so much because that was the only thing that was working to get us off the field.
Yeah.
And you see later on they kind of figured it out and started, doing certain things. But side adjustments. What I mean by side adjustment, if you got a certain look, if people are blitzing, if you got two safeties, stacked over top each other, typically that's a tip that somebody's coming. Typically, if your guy blitzes, peek, because if you peek, the quarterback can hit you, and the safety is still 6 to 8 yards away, and it's you and him one-on-one, or quick outs, or just a quick hitch route or something like that, or a wide. I don't think we have the simple things in to kind of get ready for that. We don't see quick outs. You don't see the quick out and fade just going. You don't see the and I've said this before with the flood concepts, the 3x1 flood concepts, getting things open and whatnot. You don't see just casual stuff. If they bring certain stuff, you got to release for it, and that's more so on the coach of not necessarily having that available or not talking about certain things. You'll know what teams are going to do, certain tendencies of things and everything like that, and then you can get back to the basics of, okay, we can run stick, we can run spacing, we can run out, we can run flood, we can run mesh concepts and everything like that. Hey, if they're coming, peak or whatnot, we can run pick routes, which we ran pick routes, but we missed it.
That was the big one that was his worst miss. So probably all year was on that pick route. I mean, that was I
don't know about that one.
It was pretty wide open. It was again. I'll still give him a good grade.
The one from Illinois, that one was a little worse.
I did forget about that one.
Yeah.
Okay, you put those two both up there. Tough miss.
I don't know about that one. So there's been a couple of times, stuff like that. I just don't think. I mean, even if they do, tempo stuff to where Ohio State can't get set up and do certain things and everything like that, I just don't think necessarily that it wasn't in the game plan, or we necessarily don't, run things well enough. Okay, if they are bringing, do you escape outside, because I mean, if they bring in one more person, then we have to blacks to block. Sometimes the running back was helping where honestly he probably didn't need to help at. So you really had 1 to 2 guys coming. So identifying certain things, or identify, all right, well, I'd rather it be the left end that kind of comes free, and I'll roll out the opposite way and extend the play or something like that. He's a young quarterback, thrown into the situation, but the offense needs certain small fixes, and not to say that they don't have them. I just haven't been seeing them, enough. The one big thing that I really seen, like I said, the one that he almost scored and his knee got down, certain stuff like that. Like, okay, if it's 0 all out, man to man and everything like that, okay, you got to win on fades, you got to win on slants. If from the slot you got, quick outs are our friend with the tight end, or a speed to the flats with certain things and everything like that. I just haven't been seeing a lot of, and I don't want to say common or basic football, just a quick game. You know what I'm saying? You coming out there, okay, they're playing man and everything like that. Okay, you run, if you got 3x1, you got 2 slants in a drag. You play man if you want to. That drag runner can literally get a first down every time. Okay, well then y'all want to get out of man and go to zone. Okay, now we can eat you up with the slant. Then you can throw the drag wheel on it. So now you got 2 slants and a wheel on it. So there's no setup. There wasn't no, okay, well, this is a step 1. You stop this, then okay, it's off of 2. Now it's picking your poison. What do you want to stop away with? It's never stopping the bleeding. And that's what I think our offense lacks. Just, I don't want to say complex, because it's just like the simple things to kind of keep people, 1, on their toes, 2, balance and keep us in rhythm. Short throws. I'm not saying you got to go downfield all the time and whatnot, but okay, if our guys are getting, issues with press and everything, okay, bunch settings, you know what I'm saying? Pick routes, tight alignments, mesh routes and everything. Go one way, come back the other way. It's this man is the guy that's responsible for that person, or our player has a responsible to guard a lot of areas. So make them guard certain stuff. Don't just make it easy. Run go routes, run screens and everything like that. And I that's where I think we don't do a good job on the offense of consistently getting things, started. And I think, if the run game is kind of like not where he wants it to be at or somewhat consistent, he starts to panic.
Yeah, I want to ask you this, like, give me a grade for Satterfield and in this offense, is this a schematic coaching issue, or because I have a hard time believing we don't have the talent to be a much more explosive offense. Like, again, Texas wanted Isaiah Nayor for a reason. Banks led the ACC in receptions for a reason. Like, these wide receivers are good. Their tape shows it. And at least for Nayor, highly recruited kid. There's a lot of pros to why people wanted him. And when you look at the offensive line, yes, it's not the pipeline. Like, that's very obvious, but they're good enough. And then you look at the running back room. I'm a little bit surprised that the lack of explosive plays from there, but I don't think any of them are terrible backs to where, I mean, Dylan Raiola matched the highest run this year from Dowdell on the one scramble. And it kind of took me aback to realize I was like, man, we really haven't been able to get anything explosive on the ground.
I think we have players. I don't think we're getting players, one, in rhythm to get their full potential out there. We're not setting certain things up and whatnot, or getting people going and whatnot. You're switching all your backs. When you put in two types of backs, you typically have 1 or 2 other things. When 17 is in the game, you pretty much know what he's gonna do. When 14's in the game, you pretty much know what he's gonna do. Some type of screen, some type of him coming out of the backfield, or you put him outside with certain things. So you predictable. Like, you don't kind of define the odds or mess up the numbers a little bit to make people think. You're putting a little bit in all pots and not really. It's all slowly, moving. It's not, and it's fine when everything is working, or if everybody eats type situation. But everybody not eating right now, because I don't think you're setting the kids up or putting them in the right position to do what they do well. We don't have no type of option type runners. We don't have no ISO, routes or anything like that. You got Banks is a if you got Banks, he's your, Z receiver to the field. We don't see him run no post corners. We don't see him run no double moves or anything like that. We don't see him run any routes to where he can really showcase, what he brings to the table to win on routes. You know what I'm saying? Same thing, with Nair. It's only a certain amount of things that you run with him. You don't move him in the slot. You don't have him come one way and then beat it back over across, the other way. So you're not putting the best opportunity out there to kind of get the most out of the kids. You're very bland with certain stuff. They only really run, in breaking routes. They might run, some shallow routes and slants, drags or something like that. But I mean, that's pretty much bland. If you don't win on a go, then we just don't win. And then as we get closer to scoring and whatnot, certain things are taken away. And we're not really too good and efficient at, scoring down there, which is why we can move the ball up and down the field. But once we get, within 25 yards, it looks like we're stalling and everything like that, because you don't necessarily have go-to stuff with go-to players that, okay, I know this can win every time.
Well, we saw, Ja'Cory Barney makes a huge interception. By the way, great
at the
read from
5.
him. Yeah. And we can't punch that in. Like that to me is Rutgers struggle with that. But I look at that Rutgers offense and I look at the Rutgers quarterback and I look at their offensive line and I'm like, yeah, I can see that.
They were selling out for the run. Like, you don't have no type of fake or boot where you got Fedoni that can come to the flat, a corner, and somebody coming from the backside. You got high low. If you don't get that, the quarterback can run it in. Like I get the the try running and everything like that, but if you ain't really been running like that all game, you know what I'm saying? Why hit where they're at the strongest? Right in the A gap. Why not go off tackle? Why not necessarily run an option with that, or a fullback dive, fake the lineman, put Dardell, flick it to him on the edge and have him outrun the corner, whoever, and dive for the touchdown.
That's how we scored later in the game.
You know
and then the one time we did go on the outside, it was a nice trick play to Fedoni on that shovel pass.
Not even a
trick play, but go ahead.
You can use your tendencies to get them to into something that you're really not going to do. And okay, one-on-one with a corner, Dardell with a cornerback with his speed to the outside and everything, I'll take that chance. You faking that, rolling out with a boot or something like that. You got Fedoni to the corner or to the flat. I'll take that matchup any day. Or you got the other backup tight end to the corner or to the flat, whichever. Then you got your running back that kind of can stall or hit kind of that soft hole, and you got to put the corner, in a position. Do you want to take the flag? Do you want to jump back on the corner? And whichever way you pick, you still gonna be wrong. So you got to have certain things when you get into those positions that you can kind of are guaranteed winners. When we get down there, we don't have no guaranteed winner. If we don't win on fade balls or the running back dive, that's it, and it can't be like that.
Yeah, and
you can run.
Even when we got to that 5-yard line, like I just had this gut wrenching feeling
score. I was like, please score.
I had a gut wrenching feeling. I'm like, we're going to figure out a way to not get this. After that first play call, I hated it right off the bat. So I'm like, it's so predictable, to kind of your point. And again, what happened later in that game is we did run into the outside and Dowdle got there with these, and then later it wasn't, necessarily all the way on the outside. It wasn't on the 8 or 7 or wherever you want to call it. It wasn't a sweep, but it was Fedoni. I think it was between either right off that left tackle or between that tackle and guard. But either way, it was at least creative enough
to spread him out.
Let him, exactly. And make him come uphill enough to where by the time he does get the ball, most of those guys are too far upfield already, trying to chase down the running back, not realizing it's going to be a shovel to Fedoni. And like that stuff, perfect. Love the play calling there. But it just sucks that we have to go from the 5-yard line and fail miserably to realize, like, maybe we should switch things up a little bit. Like, after that first run, it should have been clear that we're not getting it done up the middle here. Like, we're not winning this battle in that line of scrimmage in those gaps. So we got to think outside the box here. I don't know if it's fair.
Go finish
and then give him a grade, because we do got to go to break.
In that situation, like, okay, if you want to do that, okay, bring Harbert in and see how he runs the option with certain stuff. Read option, bring somebody in motion. You can hand it off. If the dude crash, you can flip it out and go. Pick a person that is your fish. Pick the person that, okay, you better make this right or wrong. And if you wrong, we score. If you right, we'll see. We're coming right back at you next play. Grade wise for the offense or just the quarterback?
I'm saying Satterfield, because this is the whole thing, and this is where
C minus.
Yeah, I'm not going to give him like an F or a D.
They were moving the ball. It's just we weren't capitalizing on situations, and things that we seen earlier in the season came back and cost us a game that we could have and should have walked out of.
Yeah, that's exactly where my head's at. I was going to give him probably, C minus. It's just like you're doing some things right, but there is just crucial moments where it feels like, to your point, there is no bread and butter for this Husker offense. There is no play that we know, if we got to get yards here, we can dial this one up because we're consistently effective at doing it. All our big play, it's a mixed bag on what works for Nebraska's offense. And if Dylan didn't decide to use his legs in that game, I don't know if we score really hardly at all. That was kind of the game changer. Real quick, Giants, Steelers, they're playing already. Haven't looked at the score. Give me your thoughts.
3-0 Steelers. I think the Steelers are going to come away with this. Two dominant defenses, offenses are, but I would take the Steelers offense before I take the Giants offense.
Yeah, I'm going Steelers. Say what you will about Russell Wilson. I think he looked pretty good in his last game. It took him a little bit to shake the rust off, but he made some throws.
Russ was cooking.
Yep. I can see it now. Like the Justin Fields, defenders were like, yeah, we weren't necessarily getting those plays. Just those quick reads, knowing like, okay, as soon as I get the snap, trust my guy. And I got to have just that soft touch pass. That's the one thing Justin Fields has never quite had in his arsenal. Not saying he'll never have it, but I got the Steelers as well. We'll throw it to break here. We'll probably dive a little bit more on this and maybe assess some of the other games in the Big Ten. And then, of course, the NFL, because your Chiefs pulled it off. No, I'm just kidding. There's more than the NFL game. We're not just going to talk Raiders-Chiefs, but I got to throw that one at your face as well because you started right out of the gates with the Commanders. So don't go anywhere. Don't Punt Tower. Good morning, Pierson-El, the former Husker, talking some Husker football here. We'll talk to you in a little bit.
Are you ready for a new opportunity? Check out Sandhills Global. Join a dynamic team where your skills are valued and your career can soar. We offer full-time positions with a 4.5-day work week, competitive pay, excellent benefits, and a positive work environment. From IT and marketing to sales and finance, we're looking for talented individuals just like you. Apply today at sandhills.jobs and take the first step towards an exciting future. That's sandhills.jobs. Don't wait, apply now.
Hey guys, it's your girl Jordan from Sartor Heyman Jewelers. Gentlemen, it's time to elevate your style with something from our men's jewelry and watch collection. Why not treat yourself to the ultimate in luxury? We've got an incredible selection of pre-owned Rolex watches, even those hard-to-find models you've been dreaming of. Whether you're stepping up your game day look or adding a touch of class to everyday wear, our top-tier collection is sure to impress. Stop by Sartor Heyman and discover the perfect piece to reflect your unique style. Until next time, happy shopping, guys.
NEBCO is hiring CDL drivers for Ready Mixed Concrete, Husker Concrete, and Beatrice Concrete. NEBCO offers great pay, medical and retirement benefits, paid time off, and they pay for CDL training. Apply today and start your new career with a $2,500 hiring bonus. From NEBCO's beginning in 1908, it's the employees that have formed the company's solid foundation. Start your career today. Visit nebcoinc.com. That's NEBCOINC.com. General Fire and Safety has been keeping Lincoln businesses and commercial structures safe for more than 50 years. From a simple fire extinguisher to full fire suppression systems, Lincoln has trusted General Fire and Safety to provide top-of-the-line products, installation, and maintenance. If you're starting a new business in a brand new building, call on General Fire and Safety to help you plan a fire safety system that fits the specific needs of your business, employees, and customers. Call General Fire and Safety today at 402-261-0116.
Midwest Bank is proud to be your local community bank right here in Lincoln. This is Travis with Midwest Bank, now with 2 branches conveniently serving Lincoln and 8 other locations across Nebraska. We're here to help you with any of your needs, from opening a checking account to buying a home or financing your business, our staff is here for you. Stop in and you might see Shin Daddy himself. Your community, your bank, Midwest Bank. Learn more at midwest.bank, member FDIC.
Ryan, with all this red and all these people around, I'm still not seeing the tailgate.
Todd Spidell, former body shop owner, terrible driver.
We're getting close. Now, did you know with 3 locations in Lincoln and hundreds of years of combined technician experience, we can get Husker fans back on the road even quicker and safer after their tailgate mishaps? Oh, Todd, turn left right here.
Left or right?
Left, right here.
Right?
Well, you wait for the tow truck. I'm getting a hot dog.
Well, I guess while I'm waiting. All right! Most recommended! Eustace Body Shop!
Woohoo! Dude, you should be on American Idol.
You really think so?
No.
Accidents happen, even to Husker fans. If it happens to you, call Eustace Body Shop, where our customers send their friends.
The most recommended Eustace Body Shop. That's who we are.
This is the Don't Punt Hour on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com. Here is your host, DeMornay Pierson-El.
All right, welcome back in at Don't Punt Hour. Harrison Orange on the 1s and 2s. Good morning, Pierson-El, the former Husker wide receiver, special teams threat, favorite for a lot of the Husker fans of my era. If you guys want to join in, 402-464-5685. You can use the streams as well. Facebook, YouTube, X, Allo, Channel 961. Shout out Jim. I mean, Jim's been in here just giving the whole breakdown of what he thinks this Husker team needs to do. And he's been chiming in all day throughout all the shows. Appreciate it as always. Like I said, you guys can comment whichever way you prefer on any of those streams. Hell, even Amazon Prime Video, you can find us there. Good morning, Pierson-El. I want to talk about this. I do not want to spend a ton of time on him because it's been beaten to death at this point. So I'll ask you in a really simple way. The rest were atrocious. That is a no-brainer. Everybody kind of understands that at this point. But I want to ask you this because I cut a clip up for Jay Foreman on what he was talking about inside the huddle, and clearly a lot of people have some strong opinions. The officiating, intentional, or is it a back of the head psychological thing of looking at this Nebraska team and just thinking like subconsciously in ways like they'll just probably didn't get held there, like this is just Nebraska, they're not that good? Or is this just a result of having a really bad era of officiating? Because you look around and the youth level especially, you'll notice an alarming rate of a lack of refs. So like, what is this intentional, not intentional, just, back of the head psychology? Or is this just what happens when we are hitting a rut in terms of developing and getting proper refs through the youth all the way up to college to even the NFL?
I mean, they're humans too. They make mistakes. They got a lot of pressure and things on them. I'm not trying to make an excuse for them, but certain calls, they miss. They might not get them all or whatnot. But I think it's just the lack of execution on their ends. And, a team from outside looking in, I remember our coaches, at the collegiate level and, the NFL level, don't leave it up to the refs. Do enough to where even if something like that happens, it's not enough to win and change the game. Like when it's a close game and if we had this one call, it makes it easier to find and point something to blame. Execute better, dominate better. You held the number 4 team in the country to 21 points. That's a winnable game.
Yeah.
Don't leave it up to the refs to do something. Make the play. You know what I mean? Like make them call it. We rather not get the paper today saying, oh yeah, we missed that call, that's our fault. With things you hate to get those. You rather not get those. You know what I mean? So I think it's just a lack of execution of stuff on the refs ends. I don't think that they're doing it necessarily on purpose. I understand, it's a tough job with certain things or whatnot. But it has to be a better consistency of play calling. Something we have to have a bell or something like that to where we can go run it to the booth, or the booth has more power to step in and kind of correct those type of things. Something has to be changed. It can't be, the refs every, Big Ten game. That's all around the league. It's been like that for, some time. So something's up. Some people have been talking about it for a reason. So, hopefully something's got to change, if that's more hours or can you see me?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. It went out on my end.
No, you're still set. Audio and video is clear.
So the league has to do something to get, a better product out there. If that's, penalties, deduction on certain things, or bringing in, some SEC refs to mix it up, or, to move it around, or some type of training or something like that. But it can't keep going like this, because you might cause people some jobs.
That's just exactly it. This is what, and real quick, like, even though, like I said, I cut up that clip for Foreman, I actually disagree with it being intentional. I think if it was intentional to me, that targeting call is easy for them, right? Like they don't call it targeting. They did go back and to actually take it off with their statement, so he'll be able and available right away for their next game. But to me, if it's intentional, that's easy right there. That's the game. Like if it's intentional, you can end it right there, and you got a fair argument to go ahead and say it's not targeting. Like those are such wish-washy calls that I think if they wanted to get away with it, they easily could have. To me, this is what happens when we don't emphasize enough about developing refs from a younger age. Like we have a serious officiating problem, and I think it's the result of nobody wants to do this job. Maybe it's the culture of the fans has gotten worse. Maybe it's the social media that has made that job such a high pressure nightmare. I mean, they get death threats to their family for reffing a game.
Yeah.
And yes, it's a game attached with a lot of money to it.
For sure.
But it's still a football game. And to me, that's where this whole thing sits. It's humans just not being very good at their job. And I think it's going to be a problem for a long time. And it's Nebraska, certainly this week. But who knows who's it's going to be in this upcoming week. And it was multiple teams. Like you can turn on any Big Ten game.
And catch it.
Exactly. And you're going to have some head scratchers. Someone's going to get at the raw end of the deal. But to your point, you have to dominate to a point where it's not enough. No matter how bad the officiating is, it's not going to decide that end factor of the game. I don't think it's intentional. I think some of it is psychological. But I think the real root of the problem is we just struggle and do not put an emphasis on developing refs at a younger age and properly developing them, vetting them, getting them some college games of lesser magnitude and bringing them up. To me, it's just we don't have enough refs. And that's what happens when if we had the same issues with doctors where there wasn't a lot of people that want to go be doctors in the world, we'd hear a lot of horror stories about botched surgeries. So like that's my whole thing is there's just not enough people doing it. It's a lower bar to get to those levels because there's not as much competition. And that's what the result of it. You go look at the SEC, for some reason, they got to figure it out. Maybe there's just a lot more people down there that they do a better job hiring, better youth and developing refs. But yeah, I'm not going to sit here and say we lost because of the refs. I'm not going to sit here and say it's intentional either. I will admit it was horrible. It was bad. It did not cost us the game in my eyes. We cost ourselves the game with the terrible stall outs on offense. All right, let's talk a little bit of the Big Ten here. And I the reason why I want to talk about this is what did we learn from the Big Ten this week? You look at the AP poll, how Indiana still isn't ranked in the top 10 is absurd to me. Indiana, yes, it was a little bit close with Washington early on, but Indiana does what they always do. Once they catch their rhythm,
it's over.
Good night. Exactly. What did we learn from the Big Ten? Anything that really caught your eyes as we wrap up this second segment here?
Penn State is a good team, even with their second string quarterback in there getting the job done. They look strong. They're a competitive team, and they have been. They've been in situations to where they've had to come back from behind and win. I mean, you can say that just about for most of the top teams in the Big Ten. Regardless of, I know we played Ohio State this week. They still found a way out to win. The situation happened with Oregon a couple weeks ago. It was what it was. We've seen Oregon in situations, grind out wins or whatnot. So I mean, the Big Ten, if they're in the game, it doesn't mean that they're out of it. You could say the same for the top 6 teams in the SEC too. So it's college football is crazy these next couple of weeks. These next 3 weeks, it's a lot on the line for a lot of organizations and colleges.
Yeah, and since like I said, we're running out of time on this segment here before we throw it to our next break. What I learned about the Big Ten, looking at all these games, is it's as competitive as ever. These teams are all. I mean, we saw, double check the score. Yeah, number 20 ranked Illinois, who you thought would give Oregon maybe a little bit of trouble. They got 38-9, easy. Wisconsin, who looked like they're coming alive, they get beat down by Penn State. Now it did take a while for Penn State to finally get it going. But still, they won that one 28-13. Michigan hangs on. They beat Michigan State. And Minnesota scores 48 points. Like, this league is just as unpredictable as ever. And what I learned is that the AP poll does not respect the Big Ten at all.
At all.
Indiana, they should, in my opinion, are higher than any SEC team with one loss outside of maybe Georgia. And maybe you can sneak another team in there if you really believe it. But the way Indiana is just beating the living hell out of these teams, I thought, especially after that Ohio State result, they would look like, man, Nebraska actually is a good team. Yes, they're not the best team in the Big Ten.
But they're really they're still a good team.
Yes, they're a solid program. And Indiana destroyed them. And then again, with Washington, they took off and proved that, again, once they catch the rhythm, there's not a whole lot of offenses that are comparing to what Kurt Cignetti's got going on with the James Madison / Indiana Hoosiers. Like, that team, to be disrespected that bad in the AP poll, I don't know what they have to do. There's not a lot of big games left on their schedule, so they got to pretty much stay undefeated. And
beat Ohio State, and that'll be that.
Exactly. And if they lose to Ohio State, are they going to get disrespected and kicked out?
They're going to knock them probably past 16, which would be crazy.
Yeah, I'm just very shocked. The AP poll this week was, in my eyes, pretty laughable. It really gave me the premise that these guys are just shooting the crap around the table, taking in these votes. I don't get it at all on how they're deciding these votes, but it is clear the Big Ten is not respected, at least in my eyes. We're not going to go to break. We're running so much.
Yeah, no, they got them what at 13, and they put Iowa State ahead of them, which is Clemson, I disagree, and BYU, and you still got Notre Dame. Yes,
It's a joke.
That's a slap in the face.
Well, and again, like Ohio State, you keep them at 4. Again, like, then what does this say about Nebraska? Like, it just doesn't make sense. There's no consistency and parity. You would think Ohio State, yes, I get they won the ball game, but they did not. I mean,
it wasn't a dominant showing.
Not at all. Their offense looked horrible, and
it looked like they're going to be in trouble.
Exactly, and they were. Like, they were in trouble. They just barely scraped out of that thing alive, thanks to a few more penalties on the crucial drive for Nebraska, which is unfortunately just been a trend for us. When we really need it, we find ourselves looking at 1st and 22, 1st and 15, whatever, you name it. We're still good at blowing off a couple toes from time to time in key situations.
I don't see how Indiana couldn't be at least at 8.
They didn't even move the morning Pierson-El.
I don't get how they're not at 8.
You're telling me they're not better than a 1-loss Clemson team? I don't buy it. They're better than a 1-loss Texas A&M team. They're better in my eyes to a 1-loss Notre Dame team. They lost to NIU. So you're going to sit here and tell me that, well, Indiana hasn't played anybody. The nobody that Notre Dame played beat them. So it just doesn't ever add up to me. Texas at 7-1. If you want to say they're better than Indiana, like, that's a team I can actually respect, a little bit more, because their schedule has been tough. Miami undefeated makes sense. Ohio State certainly should have moved down with the 1 loss. And then again, Nebraska, they don't look all that impressive. Penn State, they're undefeated. I get it. Georgia, you just look at the talent on that team.
I think, like I said, right after Tennessee, like I said, I think they're better than Notre Dame. I think they're better than BYU. And I think they're better than Clemson. A&M, that's debatable, because A&M has had a gauntlet, and they've been showing up. So Those two could be at 8 and 9, and you go from there. But for them to not be in the top 10, regardless of whatever, they've been dominant against everybody that they've come up against. So I just don't think people take them as serious as they can be.
Yeah, I mean, they're going to have to play an SEC team for people to wake up. And unfortunately, like, that's just how the voters have been forever. It feels so SEC heavy. Now, if you want to talk about things being fixed and influential, maybe the AP poll is a little bit, because like,
how many teams do you think will get a spot? SEC teams will get a spot. I was talking to somebody about this a little earlier today. How many SEC teams do you think will earn a spot actually in the playoff?
Well, looking at it, like, right, there's just, I mean, it's going to be a lot of this based on this AP poll. So SEC, let's just go through it real quick. You're going to get Georgia. You're going to get Texas. Where's Alabama currently at? Let me take a peek. I don't think Bama's actually going to be in it. I just don't trust them at all. They might go at 14. Like, they should be lower, but they're sitting there at 14. So
I think when it all comes down to it, I think 5 teams from the SEC will get in. Somebody was like, 6. I was like, if they do 6, people will be furious. I was like, I think 5 SEC teams will get in. You still have some teams to still play each other. I think A&M plays Bama and somebody else. LSU, I think, still plays Bama. I think Ole Miss, Missouri are out for sure. Bama is on the cuffs. I don't think that they will be in. You got the top 6 SEC teams, and I think the top 5 of those probably will get in. So you got A&M, LSU, Georgia, Texas, and Tennessee on the fringe of things.
I think 5 is probably the right number. 6 will be crazy, but they might find a way to do it. But I do think it's probably going to be about 5 teams.
You got a 12 team and 6 of them are for one conference. That's crazy. I think 5 from the SEC, 3 from the Big Ten, 1 to 2 from the ACC.
Yeah, we'll see if Boise State sneaks in there too from the Mountain West. That's the one conference where I'm like, and Kansas State as well. I think they still got a shot. I mean, they're sitting there 7-1.
You got. I think that the top 2 teams from the Big 12 will have a chance to get in. Both the champion and the runner up will have a strong chance to get in. From the ACC, we'll see, maybe 2, but as of right now, I just think Miami, Clemson might be, the second tier runner up, maybe.
I think Clemson falls out. Honestly, I think just based on looking at their schedule, I think they might have a game where they kind of slip up at the end and just catch themselves on the outside looking in. And then Iowa State somehow went down despite winning their game. They're sitting there at 7-0.
Iowa State is in ACC or Big
12.
Okay.
So I think we'll probably end up with maybe a couple of Big 12 teams. I do think Kansas State has an opportunity to sneak in there. Mountain West, Boise State's about it. That's the only one I got. And then, yeah, like I said, I'm still just baffled by Indiana winning against Washington, not moving in the AP poll. Notre Dame beats Navy. I understand Navy was ranked, but you just look at the talent disparity, and it's like, okay, you should win that game if you're Notre Dame, and you go up.
They've always beaten Navy. So like, I'm not like, people didn't expect Navy to actually win that one.
Exactly. And they got 4 spots moved up for it. And like I said, Indiana, this disrespect on Indiana is getting insane. To not move at all after, again, a pretty solid, convincing victory doesn't make a whole lot of sense. All right, let's quick crossover into it. Let's talk a little bit about NFL. Where's the meter on Eberflus? And this isn't me being selfish because this was the storyline of the week. I'll give you mine first. It'd be so stupid to fire Eberflus. Yes, I know the offense is frustrating to watch, but at the same time, he is a defensive-minded coach. That is certainly at least a team whose defense is elite. That Commanders offense they punted less than anybody else heading into that game, and they had to punt all day long for the most part after some big drives, but they always got held to a field goal. Like, at least, yes, he's a defensive-minded coach, but he's got that part right. There's coaches that are quote-unquote offensive-minded or defensive-minded, and it doesn't even show up. You get the right OC. I don't think Shane Waldron, if you want to have that discussion, sure. But where are you at with Eberflus? And then
I think from what things were last year to now, I would probably call him safe for at least another year. They've gotten the right pieces. The GM has putting a lot of pieces together. They're flourishing. You got a rookie QB who next year, will kind of come out. He's been competitive in things. It hasn't been, exactly,
It's been slow starts, but like you said, he's shown flashes.
And just about, majority of your games, you've been in them. You haven't been blown out, and it looks like, it looks like you don't have control or you don't have the heartbeat, of the locker room. So as of right now, I would say he would be safe. I don't think it would be the best interest to move on from him. It all goes on how the second half of the season goes and how you finish in your division.
I agree. Okay. I think his seat's cooled off.
Yeah.
You lost on a Hail Mary. You won the game.
Yeah.
Waldron handing it off to Creamer, the fullback, for no good reason. That's he gets a big question mark next to him because he just hasn't had that offense clicking like it should with the amount of talent on that roster. It wasn't until Swift breaks a big run that you actually see some life in them. Let's talk about your guy. I think that seat's on fire. There's no way in hell. Pierce for the Raiders. But they did push the Chiefs. So, there's a little bit of hope there, I guess.
They got to figure out their quarterback situation. Their offense has been atrocious since last year. Defense isn't terrible. You've been in some games, but your offensive side of the ball has been your quarterback play has been costing you the game and the ability to not get, establish the run game. So I don't think it's hot. It's probably warm, but I still think, he'll be there and next year, depending on where things lie and how, the draft and everything goes with getting a top quarterback, hopefully early securing stuff. Because he has guys willing to play. It's not like they're not playing.
He's got the locker room behind him, I think.
Yeah.
I really still think he does.
There are a few players away from, hitting on all cylinders. We've seen what they can do, last year. So I think he's fine right now. A lot of people may be talking, but you had, the stuff with Devontae being mad and everything like that. That's been a whole saga, ever since last year. The quarterbacks, it's been a saga ever since, DC got traded.
Yeah.
So that's certain things that he didn't make those changes happen, but he still got the guys ready to show up and play on Sunday. So I think he's fine for right now. If they fire him, that might be, again, you're putting yourself in the same position. I don't think that would be smart.
I think and this is where it's tough because I think even though that Chiefs game you only lost by 7, I think it's kind of in the minds already of ownership. I think it's the seats on fire a little bit already. Like every loss, no matter how close, if they compete, if the locker room's behind them, I think getting rid of Adams, it just feels like this whole team's ready to reshuffle. And for right or wrong reasons, the head coach is going to be a part of that just to get a fresh start.
Mm-hmm.
So, it might be the wrong move, but I do think he's probably going to be looking for a new job. Not during the middle of the season. I think they'd be insane to do it right now. But I think at the end of the season, we'll probably, in my eyes, see him move on. But yeah, we'll have to talk more about the NFL tomorrow. Like I said, we skipped a break even, and there's still so much to talk about. Tomorrow, tune back in. We got to talk about the rise of Jameis Winston. Never been so happy to call a game.
J-Bo!
And he looked awesome. He really did. A game-winning drive. They beat a very good Ravens team. So we'll do a deep dive on that in the NFL tomorrow, especially the Jameis Winston story. DPE, appreciate the time as always.
Appreciate you.
Do it again tomorrow.